for tonight's edition of the conversation. We are very, very, very honored, should I say, very proud and privileged to be in a distance conversation with a young South African lady who has fought so hard to have climbed a very huge height in her education and her career ladder. Not only that, she has always fought for the development of all young people, the concerns and challenges of young people across the continent by the extension, the rest of our globalized society. She is Thokozile Sewela Nhlumayo, live from South Africa. She appears on this conversation. Greetings to you, Thokozile, and welcome to this platform here.
Good evening to you there in the studio, and good evening to the rest of Africa. I know in other parts of Africa it's good evening, good afternoon, Africa.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear from our guest as she speaks to us live from Africa's most industrialized and developed nation. For purpose of our diverse audience across the continent, I plead with you to be a bit audible so that everyone hears whatever arguments you have to put forward tonight. Is that okay for us all?
Yes, I will try my best.
Yes, I think the voice is very good now. Those of you that watch from the Eastern African nation of Kenya, Nairobi city, like a palm tree, and the Tanzanian people that say to you in the Kiswahili language that say to you, Jumbo Jumbo Rabari yako, komfutanyo zangu, nakupenda pia, asante kukumansara when you to say to the people of all the Southern African nation of all South Africa and KwaZulu Natal language I say to you, Sanbonan Mzanzi, Geya Nembengelela. Of course, in Freetown, Sierra Leone, to the Mendes speaking people that say to you, Kawi Nabi Luve on the other hand, I say to you, Kai Goldman of course, to the Kono speaking people of that very nation, Freetown, Sierra I say to you, went to the Aku speaking people that I say, Onakushio to Africa's most popular nation, that is the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that say to Western Nigerians that comprises Ikiti State, Kwara State, Ondo, Lagos, Oyo State, and the rest of our Western Nigerians that say to Yoruba language, Baonisha, Baolomo, Otutu, Jementa, especially those of you that I haven't seen for too long, to Eastern Nigerians that are dominantly Igbos that say to you, one name the number Ikaraka EGM, Chukwabiyama, Amamasi, Yamasi, Oshimiri Atata, Ekueme, Chukokike. Uduku Akataka, strengthening all of you wherever you are under the sound of my voice to the northern part of the very country, Nigeria, that comprises Islamic people that say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, of course, to the Hausa people that say to you. Sanu on the other hand, I say to you, Sanu Dua, to the Liberian people in Pele, in my own country, Mama Liberia, say in Pele language, I say, Kumani Jukakoleka, Liberia, Kalukuliku Katono, to French speaking nations, I say, merci, Donezobo, supporte, of course, to the Gambian people in Madinga say, Abinya, so going to go to the family, we will never forget it to the wall of Zenangadef, and I can see the Malamuna Fati, the Malamusa Fati, say, I don't know, it's to the full, I would say to you, Moja, that is obviously this is the conversation, a platform that is meant to speak on social, moral, economic, and political issues affecting our one continent and finding some of the best ways forward to ameliorating these concerns, should I say, challenges. We are connected with one of the best, finest, brightest daughters of our continent from South Africa. She speaks with us on this platform tonight. Quickly, for purpose of our diverse audience across the continent, can you tell us who is Thokozile Sewela Nhlumayo from early childhood to academic and professional life, please?
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It is an absolute pleasure to share with you in this conversation tonight.
Yeah.
In Gambia, the smiling coast of West Africa.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure with you. And just before I start, I must just say that it's quite impressive, how swiftly and eloquently you can, maneuver and steer your way around the different languages and dialects in Africa. I was just listening to you just now when you were doing your introduction, and I must say it's really impressive that you can, you're so multilingual, and I think that's a very strong embodiment of what we call Pan-Africanism. So yeah, thank you for that. Just as you mentioned, my name is Thokozile Sewela. Um, I'm from South Africa.
Mm.
I grew up in a township called Soshanguve.
Okay.
It's a township situated in the northern part of South Africa's capital city.
Okay.
So I'm a young woman that grew up in a typical South African township setting. And I must say that it was very interesting to grow up in a township.
Okay.
My childhood was colorful, if I must put it that way. You know, townships are conventionally labeled as underprivileged and disadvantaged surroundings, you know. But to me, this was a very happy place, and it still is.
Okay.
And whenever I speak to people about my upbringing, I always say that I was not only raised by my parents
Okay.
or my immediate family, but I was raised by an entire community. So that was the beauty of growing up in a township setting.
Okay.
We grew up in the little that we had among ourselves.
Okay.
And also, I think, you know, what was also the highlight of my childhood, you know, being born in the late 80s, and of course, during the early 90s, I was still a very young child. So growing up in the early 90s was also a very incredible opportunity to witness the new dawn of South Africa's politics and the historic of Nelson Mandela from prison. Although I was still very not understand what was going on, but through the ambience, you know, and the jubilee that I could see on my parents' eyes and all the other people that were surrounding us at that time, I could see that it was a very exciting time for our country.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just the most interesting part of growing up, you know,
That is very beautiful. Yeah, talk to us about your educational sojourn, please, for our audience sake.
So, fast forward to my years in school.
Yeah.
I was a very reserved and quiet child in school.
Yeah.
But quite ironically, you know, I excelled in public speaking and debate activities.
Yeah.
Also a very bright student, you know, academically, but I must say that one of my strong qualities was public speaking and debating. That was one of the I realized, you know, in the very early years of my academic life.
Okay.
So I was good in that, and that resulted to me deciding that maybe I should perhaps study law because I was good at speaking, you know. So that was, you know, naturally the mentality of many people during those years, that when you are good at speaking, you should probably become a lawyer.
Yeah.
So when I finished high school, unfortunately, because of the economic conditions at that time, my parents could not afford to take me to a university where I would pursue a degree towards law. But I tried to at least, you know, because of the financial constraints, to settle for a diploma in public studies at the University of Technology. So that was what I could afford at that time.
Okay.
Also, it was a good way of me introducing myself to law itself. So I studied paralegal studies, and it was during those years that I joined student politics and became actively involved in the student wing of the ruling party in South Africa, which is the African National Congress. At that time, in fact, even now, the student wing is still called SASCO.
Okay.
So being involved in student politics at that time was an opportunity for me to become part of a group of young people who will play a critical role as drivers and implementers of development and change in our society. So where my political career stems from. So through my involvement in politics, I was able to receive a bursary to study towards a Bachelor of Commerce in Politics, Philosophy and Economics.
Okay.
So I pursued in that, and also received as I was advancing my political career, received quite a few international and local certifications in African studies, leadership, and politics from various institutions, like I said, locally and internationally. So I am certified in public policy analysis from the London School of Economics.
Okay.
I'm certified in policy making and analysis for Africa's development from the Thabo Mbeki African Leadership Institute, which is under the University of South Africa.
Okay.
I also received certification for civic leadership through the University of South Africa's Graduate School of Business Leadership.
Okay.
Recently, I've also been certified by the Victory Political Leadership Learning Institution from the United States of America.
Okay.
And currently busy with public policy and management with the Georgia State University in the United States of America. And just also, in addition to that, I'm also a proud product of the Young African Leaders Initiative and the Washington Fellowship.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my career background.
That is very massive, dear, from our guest, Thokozile Sewela Nhlumayo, live from all South Africa. You listen to the profile as she spoke of us right on the Sendians VIP Magazine, VIP TV here in the Gambia, which remains a platform that speaks on social, moral, economic, and political issues affecting our one continent. The singular motive is to reconnect the rest of the continent and then find solutions to our overwhelming challenges, or should I say, concerns or problems. And tonight I want to say a special guest of honor goes to Madam Olamipeju Lawal from Nigeria, Christy Njoku from Lagos State. You have Dr. Ayen in the air. And you'd also have Charles Eze, the Musa Jamid of Manchester United Kingdom, and then the rest of our listening audience here. As you listen to this fountain of knowledge, should I say, the walking encyclopedia who has worked so hard to ensure that young people are very developed and safe on this continent. Quickly, you hail from Africa's most popular nation, not popular, but most industrialized developed nation that is not a stranger to the current emergence of COVID-19. Tell us, how is the situation here in South Africa with you, your family, by extension, the rest of the South African people with this virus, the COVID-19?
As it is in the rest of the world, it has not been an easy journey, but I think, I always say that it's our cooperation and unity as a country that allowed us to where we are in terms of fighting against this pandemic, COVID-19. So I think the rest of the world has recently seen how South Africa has fought against this pandemic, and that saw us moving from what was considered a very, what was considered a hotspot of the coronavirus in the entire continent of Africa, to moving to level 1 of the lockdown, which means that this is quite a good achievement for us as a country, because this means that our recovery rate is actually almost 90%. So we've seen the country moving to level 1, meaning that many restrictions were eased, and we are gradually moving also into opening up our borders. And
Okay, that is very, very beautiful. Let me not forget to recognize Mr. Constantino Pelleteri line from Botswana Situ in Seswana language. I say readable hell about Linton Jahaho, readable hell about Linton Jahaho to Constantino Pelleteri and his wife or Karim Pelleteri of Malawi. These are strong supporters of our Sendian VIP Magazine and TV. Cleverly, you are a young lady who worked so hard on behalf of our young people of this continent, by extension, a globalized society. Most importantly, you serve as the executive secretary of the African Youth Parliament. Tell us, what are the core values, or should I say, what are the guiding principles that or responsibilities of the International Youth Parliament on this continent?
Yes, thank you for that question. The International Youth Parliament is a body that represents the voice of young people globally. So we represented in over 40 countries in Africa,
Okay.
and more than 15 countries outside of the continent of Africa.
Okay.
So the core objective is quite simple and clear. We are advocating for the inclusion of young people in leadership and decision-making roles in Africa and globally. So we are anchored in one value, and that is to create nations where young people lead. So coming back to Africa, we are called, I think everyone knows that we are called the youngest continent in the world. That because our demographic dividends indicate that most of our population is actually young people in Africa. But unfortunately, young people in Africa continue to find themselves at the periphery of political and decision-making processes. So we are saying, as the voice of young people, that Africa will have a solid contract with its young people. People are a critical demographic in Africa. So they will be harnessed meaningfully in politics and political processes to foster longer-term societal stability and peace. Because we know that as long as young people are not well taken care of, there will never be political and socio-economic stability in any nation. So the International Youth Parliament, in short, just works to advocate for the inclusion, the meaningful inclusion of young people in leadership, political and all decision-making roles in Africa.
Those of you following us on social media will say this is an opportunity for you to share this live so that other people can have an opportunity to tap into this fountain of knowledge as she speaks of us live from Africa's most industrialized developed nation. She's a politician by qualification and practical action. She's a youth leader by qualification and practical action. So this is an opportunity for young people to listen to whatever she has to offer us tonight. Cleverly, I want you to tell us what are practical evidence that you can point at right now as positive trickle-down effect that your institutions or organization, the African Youth Parliament, has had on young people on this continent? Any practical evidence of your impact?
All right, so to answer your question, what impact has this body in the lives of young people here in Africa? The International Youth Parliament has been recognized as one of the top 70 institutions in Africa that have contributed to the growth of young people in Africa. And we run several campaigns, but I will just highlight the ones that have had a great impact in the growth of not only politics but the entire leadership sphere in Africa. So I've seen the International Youth Parliament's memorandum that calls for all member states in Africa to lower the minimum age.
Madam, just to comment, permits me to say, please, we beg that you sound a bit audible so that those that are following can actually get you. By the same token, our production team can have an opportunity to capture the voice quality just as it appears. Most importantly for our viewers, please. You can go
ahead. That's, is it clear now? Is my voice clear now? Am I audible enough now?
Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I was saying that to answer the question as to what is the impact that the International Youth Parliament has had in the life or in improving the lives of young people, rather, in Africa.
Yeah.
So as I've said, that the International Youth Parliament has been recognized as one of the 70 institutions in Africa that have positively contributed to the growth of young people in Africa. So not only in politics, but within the entire leadership sphere in Africa. So we have seen the International Youth Parliament's memorandum that calls for all member states in Africa to lower the minimum age for political office, to allow young people to occupy political roles in their respective countries, being signed by 32 countries in Africa. So this memorandum is actually a contract that we are giving to different governments in Africa to say, you need to sign a long-lasting contract with young people. What are you promising? What are you promising young people in terms of leadership and inclusion and participation? So we continue to have an ongoing partnership with different political parties in Africa to hold accountable on the number of young people they appoint in office. So we are also supporting a few young people running for senatorship positions in their different countries. At the moment, this year we have seen 3 young people being appointed as senators in different parts of the continent in Africa within the International Youth Parliament, and also the president of the International Youth Parliament right now is also running for a senatorship position in his country, which is Nigeria, and in the state. So we are also rallying behind him. So that's the evidence that we have that we are not only saying it, but we are actually practicing it, that we want to see nations where young people take the lead. Hence, we also make sure that we support all young people that run for political office.
This is very good. Those of you that are watching, this is the conversation that comes up with Sembian's VIP magazine, VIP TV here in the West African nation of all, the Gambia. Here with me, Tony Michael Howard, who is tasked with the responsibility of inspiring and motivating the current generation of young Africans in the actualization of their respective dreams and preaching the message of peace and national unity, as well as revitalizing the Africanization policy that speaks about good governance, social justice, democracy, human rights, and most importantly, the African unity. We are joined with a young, bright, very smart and modest daughter of this continent. She is Thokozile Sewela Nhlumayo, live from all the Southern African nation of all, South Africa. We're going to take our break, which is just 2 minutes, after which we will have had an opportunity to complete this entire exercise as she is speaking for. So, Madam Sewela, we get back to you in active 2 minutes, if that's okay.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Supersonic's money transfer is giving you an unbeatable bonanza from now until the end of October. Yes! From now till the end of October, you stand a chance of winning a bag of rice when you receive monies in the Gambia from UK, Europe, USA, Canada, and Switzerland with Supersonic's money transfer. Amazing! So from now till the end of October, every time you receive monies in the Gambia from UK, Europe, USA, Canada, and Switzerland, you stand a chance of winning a bag of rice. Only 100 bags available, so hurry now and be part of the 100 lucky winners in this special unbeatable bonanza from now until the end of October with Supersonic's money transfer. Enjoy our safe, fast, reliable, and convenient money transfer service with the largest payout network in the Gambia with charges starting from $0. Yes! Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics. The unbeatable bonanza with Supersonics.
Those of you that are watching us right now on social media will say this is the conversation that comes up with Sembian's VIP magazine, VIP TV, here in the West African nation of the Gambia. And for tonight's edition of the conversation, we are joined with one of the brightest daughters of our continent that works on behalf of young people across the continent and even beyond. She is Madam Thokozile Sewela Nhlumayo, live from South Africa. We're just having our first break, and shortly we're going to be joined with her for the second and final half of this beautiful interview here on the Sembian's VIP magazine, VIP TV, on the Pan-African Media House, that reconnect the rest of the continent here. With me, Tony Michael Howard, who is tasked with the responsibility of inspiring and motivating the current generation of young Africans in the actualization of their respective dreams and preaching the message of peace and national unity, as well as revitalizing the Africanization policy that speaks about good governance, social justice, democracy, human rights, and most importantly, the African unity. We are now joined with our guest live from South Africa for the second and final half of this very conversation. Madam, you've been very, very clever in pointing out the key values or principles that govern your International Youth Parliament. You must be saluted for your excellent performance as a female who's not only fought for youths in South Africa, but by extension the rest of the continent and even beyond, because I heard you speak about 15 other countries outside of the continent that the International Youth Parliament actually govern. Let me take you to a very key issue that has been going on for some time, and South Africa being one of the nations that suffered white supremacy for donkey years, and it had to involve the rest of the continent, most especially Nigeria, under even the Obasanjo and other previous leaders before him, that fought harder to have supported South Africa. Even Liberia in 1962, it was regarded as a safe haven for the late Nelson Mandela during the fight against the white supremacy. But we've seen of recent, South Africa has a little bit swayed from that beautiful gesture that was offered to her by the rest of the continent in terms of the xenophobic attack that took place, or that has taken place several times against other black people. What's your thoughts about such unwholesome attitude by some South African, not all? What's your thoughts about this xenophobic attack against other black people across the continent?
I think it's quite disappointing.
I didn't get that very well, madam. Can you say it again?
Yes, I think it's quite disappointing that you cannot mention, that anybody, not only you, anyone cannot mention South Africa and not speak of, the despicable and inhumane act called xenophobia. So, wherever I go, and literally wherever I set foot as a South African, I get this. And, it's always expected in the back of my mind. So,
in our respective nations across the continent, young people have remained the key victims of bad governance. In fact, politicians, based on their bad leadership style, have succeeded in dividing us based on tribal lines, regional lines, religious lines. Like you have the Selika and the anti-Bellica Christianic and Islamic group in the Central African Republic. You have French-speaking Cameroonians and English-speaking Cameroonians divide between and amongst themselves there in Cameroon. That used to be a very peaceful nation. You go to Nigeria, you see the Igbos, the Hausa, and the Yorubas divided here. Evidence of the division can be traced to the Biafrans' agitation of independence. You come to my own country, Mama, Liberia. The American Liberians, or descendants of the free slaves, and the indigenous Liberians are still been very conflictual in their arrangement. And again, it is not very different. You have a bit of a conflictual tribal arrangement between the Mandinkas and the Jolas, so to speak. Where should the focus of young people actually lie?
I think again, it takes us back to the decolonization of our mind as Africans. That, that is a very important aspect of our growth as Africans. And unfortunately, the divisions that you see today are as a result of what we've been through as a continent, that is colonized.
Okay.
So, not, the process of decolonizing is not a one-size-fits-all. It means different things to different people in different parts of the world. And, it's multifaceted. So, there are many layers to decolonize. So, for example, as long as, you still feel that there are tribes that are superior than the others. There are religions that are superior than the others, and as long as we feel that there are genders as well that are superior than others, then that is evidence in itself that we are still very much colonized, not only institutionally but mentally. So I think that's where our problem stems from. So perhaps as a way forward also, we should start by ensuring that Africanize our own education system as well, so that we keep these things, core values, in our schools. We ensure that we entrench these values in the up and coming generation from a very early age from school, and so that they grow up with these principles and with these values. I think that can assist them in growing us. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Quickly. Because of the pan-African nature of this platform, which remains a media house that reconnects the rest of the continent, you've admitted and accepted the fact that it was a huge slap in the faces of all other African nations whose citizens lost their lives in South Africa, and then their businesses were being vandalized. I would love to use this platform to beg you to spend at least a minute in your native language to speak to South African, wherever they are, under the sound of the voice, to exercise the ghost of discrimination and stigmatization, to at least accept peace, unison between and amongst the rest of the country. Can you speak to the rest of all South African in your language on the essence of peace and unison between and among South African, by extension the rest of the continent? 1 minute, please. You can speak your language.
In my language? Oh,
yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Mzansi Africa, njengoba kule nyanga nesibungaza futhi sigubha usuku lwethu lwamasiko futhi lokuzikhakhazisa ngemvelaphi yethu nokukhumbula lapho sivela khona. Masikhumbuleni ukubambisana, nokuthandana, nokungacwasani ngokuhlanga noma ngokwebala. Siqhubeke nokubambisana njengoba siyizwe linye elifanayo. So just to replicate what I just said in my language,
yes,
I was simply passing the message to South Africans that as we are concluding Heritage Month here in South Africa, on the 24th of September, it was what we call Heritage Day, where we were celebrating our cultures and heritage. So we must remember that as we conclude this Heritage Month, that heritage is our core existence, and we are united in diversity. Therefore, it's important for us to remember to peacefully coexist and embrace our beautiful diversity as a continent. Live together in harmony.
That's very beautiful. What would you say to African nations that lost their citizens in your homeland, and some of them that did not lose their lives, but their businesses were being vandalized? What are your words to those nations that lost their people there?
As a leader myself, I just want to say that on behalf of all South Africans, on behalf of the country, and also as I'm a young person representing the voice of young people, that these are actions that we are not proud of. These are things that we cannot. These are things that we feel ashamed of as a country. I just want to say that we do not encourage that at all, and I always denounce any forms of violence. And to all the countries that have lost their citizens, in the spirit of saying that all lives matter, we just want to say that we pass our condolences, and we are saying that we will not just sit back and tolerate this kind of violence, but as a country, as putting myself in the leadership of the country, because I'm a leader as well, to say that we will by all means continue to encourage social cohesion and coexistence, among the people of Africa. So to ensure that people that come to South Africa for economic, whether they come for economic refuge or as asylum seekers, or for whatever reason that they come to South Africa, that they feel at home, that they feel that as our constitution states, that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. So we shall continue to foster the spirit of Ubuntu among us as a nation, and also to continue to teach in grassroots levels the importance of coexisting and embracing our diversity, because that is where the beauty of our continent is, our diversity, our variety. So that is the promise that I'm making, that as a leader myself, I will continue, that wherever I am, I continue to speak the spirit of Ubuntu, the spirit of unity, the spirit of humanity, the spirit of coexisting and social cohesion among us as Africans. So once again, condolences and my heartfelt words go out to all those that have lost the lives of their precious citizens during this xenophobic attacks, and also the businesses that have been vandalized. I know that some things are irreplaceable, but what I can say as a leader is that we will try by all means that such things do not ever occur again. And yeah, thank you so much for being on this platform. These are very important issues that we need to discuss.
That's a beautiful one there from you. Just before we take leave of you, what would be your final words to young people across the continent, young people with formidable talents that are yet to actualize in their dreams due to bad governance and lack of opportunities? And you serve as an ambassador for youths across the continent, by extension the rest of our one world. What are your final words for young people before we take leave of you on this platform, madam?
So I'm just going to reiterate again that as long as we do not take active part in democratic processes in our different countries, as long as we don't make our voice heard with young people, we are not going anywhere. There will, forever be gerontocracy. There will forever be, leaders that don't want to go out of office. There will forever be limited spaces for us as young people, as long as we don't take a stand and claim our space on the table. So I want to encourage participation and active citizenship among us as young people. So that is the space that we need to take up, that our opportunities are available out there for us to take and run with them. But as long as we do not participate in these processes, in this government and democratic processes, unfortunately, our voice will never be heard. So let's go out there, let's participate, let's influence policy, let's do all that we have to do, let's be active. Activism also has proven to be very instrumental in amplifying the voice of any group, whether it's young people, women, or any suppressed group in the world. Activism is a very powerful voice that we can also use. So that's what I can say to young people today.
Thank you very much. It's a very, very beautiful pleasure and honor to have you featured on Symbiance VIP Magazine and VIP TV here tonight.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, for those of you that have been following us on social media, I want to say a very huge salute to you for joining us tonight with one of our brightest daughters of this continent. She is Thokozile Sewela Nhlumayo, live from all South Africa. It's been a very massive experience with all of you here. She stressed a very important point that this is Africa. We need to unite. We need to maintain a spirit of peace and unison between ourselves, and should also recognize the fact that it was quite too wrong for all the Africans to have lost their lives in South Africa, considering the fact that this is our continent and it belongs to us all. And should also urge young people to get involved into the politics of their nation, to get involved into the development of their respective nations, and that is the best ways forward as a continent. And people that's been with me here, Tony Michael, how to tackle the responsibility for inspiring and motivating the current generation of young Africans in the actualization of their respective dreams and preaching the message of peace and national unity, as well as revitalizing the Africanization policy that speaks about a good governance, social justice, democracy, human rights, and most importantly, the African unity. Just before we leave, we want to use the opportunity to extend our unqualified apology to Madam Thokozile Sewela Nhlumayo for the 10 to 15 minute delay in ensuring that it should start the time that it should have started. We say accept our unqualified apologies for that. And we hope to get in contact with you just when you are needed, please.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah. Wherever you are, we say thank you very much. And if you like, follow us on Symbian VIP Magazine and TV. Bye-bye.